Good morning, and welcome to the Extensions Program New Teacher Support Series. This is your introduction to extensions. Welcome. Today's agenda: we will be doing our welcome, which we've already done, introductions to meet our team. We are going to be reviewing the Extensions New Teacher Support Series objective, navigating the New Teacher Support Series dashboard, and then we will begin talking about what it is to be an Extensions teacher, what you need to get started. So we're going to talk about understanding autism, classroom setup, and curriculum. Let's get started. Here are the contact informations for your Extensions Program ECCT team. Our program manager is Erica Rogers, and her email is underneath her name. You also have Mary Allen, Jennifer Reese, Deanne McLeod, Kristen Geogis or Bo, Sonia Mays, Paula Taylor, Emily Braswell, and Miranda Pouncey. You will be assigned one of these EPECCTs based on your school and the area in which they serve. You will also have your new teacher support series district mentors. We are going to be supporting you through the new teacher support series. So while the EPECCTs listed here support all of our extensions program teachers, you are really going to need these contacts to know who is going to be supporting you as a new teacher. The moral of this story here, these two slides, is that you have a lot of support with us in the extensions program. You have mentors within your building, veteran teachers, lots of ears that can hear your problems and help you collaborate on how to find solutions. So just keep in mind that we are here for you and you do have support. All you have to do is ask for help. One great way to ask for help is to make sure that you have joined the new teacher support series GroupMe. This is essential, and this is something that we will continue to stress. If you are not already signed up for the GroupMe, we want to make sure that every single member of the new teacher support series, that means every member in our district who is in the extensions program and has been teaching in CMS for 3 years or less, will be a part of the GroupMe. It's very important to be part of this GroupMe because we are going to be sharing important information there. It will always have pinned our dashboard, which we will review next, but you will also get correspondence about things that are happening in the district, such as trainings that are available, which can be essential. We want to make sure that if you are doing something in your classroom, and let's say you are already doing it, right? We want to make sure that you get the formal training, like in unique learning systems or crisis prevention intervention, those sorts of things. We want to make sure that you get credit for those courses. This becomes essential when you move in out of your residency or your lateral entry or whatever it may be licensure. You really need those CEU credits. So make sure that you are getting as many as possible and you're getting credit for what you're doing. The Extension's New Teacher Support Series objective is as follows. The Extensions Program New Teacher Support Series will provide the opportunity to collaborate with the Extensions Program district mentors to discuss the tools and strategies needed to facilitate individualized student achievement within the Extensions classrooms through evidence-based practices. What is the Extensions Program New Teacher Support Series? So, what you're going to be hearing us call it is NTSS. Don't get that confused with MTSS. That is a different thing. This is NTSS, New Teacher Support Series. Teachers will have the opportunity to earn 1.6 CEUs for participating in the training series. The Extension's New Teacher Support Series will consist of following monthly obligations from October to May. And like I mentioned before, this is really geared toward our new teachers or beginning teachers. Either it is your first year or it is your third year or less in CMS. Step one for every single month is to view the pre-recorded professional development video. So every month you are going to have access to a professional development video that is pre-recorded. This is asynchronous learning. So you don't need to do it at a specific time. You just need to do it within a certain window. And we'll review that window as well in just a couple of slides. So you need to first watch the video, and then you need to complete the exit survey via Google form that is going to be in your dashboard board, but it's also going to be in the presentation itself so that you get credit. For example, this October is introduction to extensions. So you're going to make sure that you complete the survey after you watch this video right here that you are watching right now in the moment. So you want to make sure that you always complete those exit surveys because that is how you get credit and that is how we know that you watched the video. Lastly, in the month, you're going to attend one of the Q&A check-in sessions. It will be the last week of the month on Tuesdays and Fridays. You will be getting calendar invitations to all of these events, so just be prepared. You're going to get a lot of calendar invitations at once, and I would like you to accept every single one of them. And the reason I would like you to do that is because once you accept those invitations, you can make the decision if you're going to attend on Tuesday or if you're going to attend on Friday. It doesn't have to be the same day or time every single month, but that way you'll have access to knowing when they are happening and what times they are happening. And what I would also like you to do is make sure that you are adding these to your calendar with notifications. And if you need help with that, almost anyone in your building can help you with that process. I'll also be sending notifications through email from each of those calendar invitations. All of this will make sense very soon. Trust me. If you are not familiar with Outlook and you haven't used it before, you're going to pick it up very quickly. It is a great tool. We have an excellent system here with Outlook, and it is extremely easy to send calendar invitations and use it to link with Teams. All of those Q&A check-in sessions are going to be virtual. So they are going to be through Teams links. And if you need help with that, you can always reach out to your New Teacher Support Series district contact. You are going to use the New Teacher Support Series dashboard to access the PD materials for the year. And next, we're going to review them. So let's take a look at the dashboard. The dashboard is going to be extremely important. You are really going to use this. You're going to find yourself on this very frequently. So get comfortable with it. Look around. It is not super complicated. So let's go ahead and look at what we have here. So first, we have the welcome, right? And we say that onboarding is going to take place on October 1st and the 19th of November. This onboarding is going to be synchronous. So it is going to be still virtual, but we are going to be live on October 1st and November 19th. And these are going to be opportunities for onboarding. Any questions that you may have about accessing the dashboard or the professional development will be answered at this time. We will also be doing this presentation right here. So let me explain that. Right now, I am doing introduction to extensions, and you are watching this video. If you go to the live session, which I'll explain in the live session, you don't need to watch this video. You just need to do the survey because this video is what we will be doing on October 1st in that synchronous session. We're going to be doing that live. And obviously, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for questions, and we're going to be collaborating together and telling stories about how the first month of our year went and what we can do and troubleshoot together. So it's going to be a very collaborative experience, especially those live sessions and the Q&A sessions. So you don't want to miss them. Oh, and one more thing. So the live sessions are going to be offered in the morning and in the afternoon. And we'll talk about that a little bit more too. You'll see that when I send out the calendar invitations. So you'll have Tuesdays and Fridays, and you'll have a morning opportunity and an afternoon opportunity. You can visit as many of those Q&As as you want. If you find yourself going on Tuesday and you went in the morning and you have queues between Tuesday and Friday, go ahead and join on Friday too. That is completely fine. It is open forum. It's open office hours. So if it starts at, let's say it starts at 2 p.m., you can come anytime between 2 and 4:30. It is open office hours. So really take advantage of that. It is required at least once a month. So we will be taking attendance at those virtual sessions, and you just need to join one. That's what's required, and we'll be taking your attendance. If on Tuesday you have not joined a session, we are going to remind you that Friday is the day that you need to attend a session. If you do not attend a session on Tuesday and Friday, it may affect your attendance and your CEUs, and we will be reaching out to you. That's my serious moment. We really need you to be participating in these. We need the evidence that you are participating in the PD, and the survey is not enough. We need to make contact with you. And we want to make contact with you. That is the important piece. We don't just need to, we want to. You'll also see that over the course of the year, especially this first quarter, you are going to be getting visits from your EPECCT assigned to the extensions program in your school, but you're also going to be getting visits from your district mentor as well. We want to meet you. We want to see you. We want to look into your eyes and see how you're feeling because that is very important. We can't do that necessarily over Teams, so trust and believe we are going to come and see you and do whatever we can to support you. So past the onboarding, we're going to move on to the dashboard itself. These are some navigation tools. You navigate with the bottom tabs down here. If you haven't used Google Sheets before, that is how you navigate through the tabs. Each month, you're going to have that video posted, and you're also going to have the survey to fill out, and it's going to tell you when the Tuesday and Friday sessions are. So this is really an essential tool. If you didn't use the QR code to sign up with GroupMe, you can also use this link. If you're using your computer, totally fine. You can join that way. We just really, really, really want you to go ahead and join that GroupMe. And if you are signed up for the new teacher support series, or you are a new teacher and you haven't signed up for the new teacher support series, you will be hearing from us. We are going to reach out to you, make sure that you're signed up, and make sure that you are in the GroupMe because we want to see you and we want to hear from you. All right, let's go ahead and look at the dashboard. So let's take a look at the resources that are already in here. So every month you're going to see a topic. You're going to see the first step, which is the video, the second step, which is the survey, the third step, which is going to tell you where and or when the collaboration times are going to be for the Q&A session. You're also going to see a Teams link here to access the session, but you're also going to have a Teams link in the calendar invitation that you are going to accept once they're sent out. We are going to give you every support possible to make sure that you have access to these Q&A sessions. We do not want anyone to miss anything, and we know that you guys have a lot on your plate. We have all been in your shoes. Everyone has to start as a new teacher, so we know how overwhelming this can be, and we want to make it as easy as possible. We want to make this enjoyable. So, and it will be, trust me. I like to facilitate a very enjoyable experience when it comes to new teacher collaboration, so we will do everything we can to make it fun and enjoyable and something you look forward to. That being said, there's also additional events, and these are optional. You do not have to attend these additional events. I want to stress they are not required in any way to get your CEU credits, but we want to make sure that we're offering them. At this time, we have 2 planned. So we have one in December that is going to be on the 16th at 4:30, and that's going to be at Queen City Social. Queen City Social is a great place to meet. If you haven't been, it is so fun. They have games, they have food. I'm gluten-free, so just like know that they're very great on dietary needs. I absolutely love it's called Queen City Social now, but Queen Park Social, or you can call it Queen Park. But yeah, so that is where we're going to be having our event in December and in May. Keep an eye out here though, because we might throw another event in there. If you guys have an idea and you want to do something, Dave and Buster's, or like, just something fun, and you guys say like, hey, let's do something else, we are down to do it. So we have these spots empty and we can have as many as it feels appropriate as we move through the year. So just know that we are going to have those social opportunities as well for you to connect with fellow new teachers. Related materials. So here is where you are going to find not only the PDF from the presentation that you are watching right now, but you're also going to find any tools that were within that presentation. So if we talk about, for example, a deep dive into data, you're going to see linked underneath here a link to the data form folder, like that sort of thing. So it's really easy for you to say, okay, here's the presentation, all the links are in here, but also underneath that presentation, all the links are there as well. So we want to make that as simple as possible. You're going to hear me say that a lot. And then instructional resources. This is something that is going to have a link. It is still in process of completion, but this is where you are going to select to be able to enter those instructional resources. I will say that this is further on in the presentation, our curriculum and instructional resources. So don't worry about that quite yet. I'm going to show you that toward the end of the slide when we get into curriculum. On this tab, you have additional professional resource opportunities. Every time that we have a video created or a PD posted, you are going to find it here. So for example, if we have Unique Learning Systems 101, which is actually a PD, a professional development that you sign up for through My Talent, we are going to have the information for ULS 101 posted here. That way you can just go in, click a link, it will bring you to the space where you can sign up, and then you just follow the instructions from My Talent. However, if you see things like checkpoints, benchmarks, those sorts of things, if you click on those, you'll see, oh, that's just a short video on how to do benchmarks, short video on how to do checkpoints, monthly lessons, that sort of thing. So keep an eye on this tab for us to start linking in those professional developments. Do not worry. By work week, we are going to have all of these linked in. They are recorded, they just need to be linked for your access. We also don't want to overwhelm you. And we do not want you to start before our start time, right? We want you to take this time to really absorb Crown Academy and get the most out of that. And all of this will come. Everything that we are going to teach you and collaborate with you, it will come. So don't try to get it all done at once. The best way to learn is through experience, experiential learning. So you're going to learn how to do it from that checkpoint video, but you're going to learn the most from doing the checkpoints. So just take a deep breath and understand that this will come in time. And the you that is going to be you next August is not the you that is sitting here right now watching this video. So just know that that will come and don't stress out too much about it. You have other things to stress out about. Here you can find on this last tab, this is Extension Program Resource Library. These are every single link you could possibly imagine. It is all going to be here on this dashboard tab right here, the EC department contact list. Let me just open that so you can see it. This is all the contacts that you need in the entire district. So if you are at Albemarle Road and you need to know the principal's name, there it is right there, Albemarle Road, and you need to know who your speech pathologist is. You just come over here, you find the speech pathologist, there you go. It's Karen Beards and Stephanie Scalinos. Oh, I love that. So this is a great resource for when you're doing IEP meetings and you need to include the speech therapist, but you don't know who they are because they're not every day at your school, and that's okay. Like that happens. We are still learning people. If you have, for example, the teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing. I know Anne, but you may not know Anne, right? So that might be somebody who you're not familiar with. That's okay. You're learning who all these people are, and I guarantee you, after you do an IEP with them, you're not going to forget them. So, especially this first year, this is the learning process, and you are definitely going to use this tool. So remember that that tab is there. We have roles and responsibilities, employee self-service, My Talent, the East Department website, Intranet, and Ed Cloud. All of these resources that are linked in here are also explained in the presentation on the top here. So we call this a Crown Academy presentation. If you click on this, not only are these links going to be explained, but you're going to get access to the professional development that we gave at the beginning of the year. So if you put that inside slideshow mode and you know a specific place where you need to go, like let's say you need behavior, it'll take you straight to the behavior slides and you can click through those, see the links that are in like the visual resource library, and it's going to give you access to the calming library. So it's really easy to navigate. All of those links that are in the presentation, however, are going to be found in this list as well. So if you need an explanation of those links, go ahead and look in the presentation. If you just want a quick access to those links, like you're like, I remember the EC help desk number exists, but I don't remember what it is. You come right in here, that's in the presentation, but it's also separated here into a separate box here. All right, I hope that makes sense. It is a lot of information all at once, but just know that this is a wealth of knowledge. You have access here to a wealth of knowledge, and it is going to support you through the year. So we were talking about those instructional resources, right? So right here on the first page, you see additional support and you see click here for access to the created lessons in the extension program. This is going to be linked in that other slide or that other tab as well, but let's take a look at that. When you click on this, it is going to bring you to the Extensions Program Instructional Supports and Curriculum Resources Guide for 2025-2026. This is going to be used by all Extensions teachers. So keep in mind, while this is linked into the New Teacher Support Series dashboard, this is not just for new teacher support. This is going to be our initiative for this year for unique learning systems to make sure that we are all using it with fidelity and we are getting as much out of this evidence-based curriculum as we possibly can. So let's go ahead and come over here and take a look. Every month, you are going to have these things linked in. So you just simply go into the instructional resources and you click on that link, and it's going to give you access to the English language arts lesson for that month. It will give you access to your math lesson for that month. It will give you access to your social studies and your science lesson for that month. Simply put, everything you need for a baseline is going to be right here. So that means every student in extensions will get access to this lesson instruction, right? They're going to get access to this baseline level of support. But you are a specially adapted curriculum teacher, and you know that it doesn't stop there, right? So we don't stop at the baseline. The baseline is the minimum that we give, which is still a whole awful lot. So we give a lot as our baseline, but then we also have to differentiate, right? So what you need as a baseline is here, and that's going to help you with about 60% of your brain power and your heart power that you have to make sure that you're serving this student. And the other 40% is going to be differentiation. So making sure that you are making very unique, specialized probes for these students and making sure you're teaching those IEP goals. And there are so many things that you're going to do to help the student achieve and make growth in your space at your service. And it is outside of this ULS support, these lessons. So just know while this is a baseline and this is the expectation as the minimum, do not stop at it. Follow your instincts. You are a teacher, you have those instincts. Lean on the support of the teachers and mentors that you have in your building, the support of us as well as your district level mentors, and we can help you create achievement for these students. It is definitely possible. Do not let anybody tell you it's not possible. It is possible. So this is the baseline, and do not be surprised if you need other materials, right? And we can always help you with that. But this is that monthly expectation, and this will make your life a whole lot easier. This is new this year. So if you hear your veteran teachers working through it as well, just know it's new for them too. So this is the first time that they're seeing this extensions program, instructional supports, and curriculum resources. A lot of love and labor went into making that because we know that we need to be able to support you guys in a effective and impactful way. So New Teacher Support Series PD course. What you're going to do is go to My Talent and type in the course number into the search bar, and you will get that course. Now you see that there isn't a course number on here yet. By the time that you receive this information on October 1st, there's definitely going to be past a course line. You guys will have already signed up. And the way that you get that course number, friends, is to make sure that you are on the GroupMe. Please make sure you're on the GroupMe. I'm going to post that course number directly into the GroupMe, and you can sign up right on your phone. You can sign up right on your computer from that link. It's going to take you directly to it. Sign up, get your credit. That lets us know that you are here. It is you raising your hand saying, I'm a new teacher. I need support. Please help me. That is you raising your hand. We're going to find you no matter what. Don't you worry. Like, don't you think, I mean, if you're watching this, you know, but just know that if you didn't sign up, we found you by now. And it might be, of totally innocent error, right? Like you just didn't see all the emails. It's hard to keep up with them. But no, EC department's going to reach out to you with a welcome email, but we're also going to be really communicating heavily with you on that group. So join that GroupMe when your EPECCT provides it to you on their first meeting. Okay, let's get into the training. That was just the introduction to the dashboard and all the things that are new teacher support. We're going to go ahead and get into our training. We're going to talk about classrooms, curriculum, behavior, autism. Get ready because this is the beginning of your journey. So let's talk about what that journey sometimes feel like. Understanding the needs of a new teacher, the phases of the first year. We have anticipation, survival, disillusionment, rejuvenation, and reflection. This is not always what every teacher goes through with their first year, but I have found that this is what I went through in my first year, and a lot of my colleagues have the same exact story. The events are different, but the sequence is pretty similar. So let's talk a little bit about it. So we have anticipation, right? You're ready. Right now, you're probably excited. You're ready to go. You have all these ideas, you have these visions, you have this passion, and that's what you need to get started. And extensions, you truly have to start at the top, right? You have to start with passion and excitement. Let yourself get pumped. Let yourself get pumped up because August and September, that is the time to be pumped up and be passionate. We need to just be ready to go in extensions. When you get to that October month and moving into November, it becomes a little bit of a survival mode. You have learned at this point in October and November that you have IEPs due. You have data that you need to collect. You have all these things that you are unfamiliar with that are falling into your lap. And what I want to say to you is that a lot of times it can feel like someone says something that you don't know, like an acronym or a process or something like that, and you don't know what it is. The worst thing you can do to lead to disillusionment faster is to not ask for help, not ask for support. Do not sit there and question what an acronym is. After you Google it, if it still didn't show up, ask. And if you don't feel comfortable asking somebody in your building, understand that your district mentor, we are very passionate about supporting you, and there are absolutely no dumb questions. You cannot ask us anything that we haven't been asked before. I promise you. We have provided coaching support in a lot of different settings with a lot of different needs. We've heard it. We've heard it all. So ask your questions. They are not stupid. And also, you may find an answer on Google that is incorrect or maybe not a full picture answer, right? Like we can give you actual examples and we can collaborate with you. It's not just looking up a piece of information. Sometimes it is a conversation and a collaboration. Our students are very unique. So I talk about survival a little bit more because I don't think that you have to get to do disillusionment as quickly as sometimes people do. Ask for help, ask for support. You will see that it doesn't bring you to the tank of disillusionment. So in December, a lot of times as we're going into that break, we feel like we really need that break because we are in that disillusionment phase. We are defeated. We see only our failures, and it's very hard to see our successes. And that is a plague of EC teachers. And just know you're not alone. It can be very, very sad and frustrating your first year when you have these expectations of the growth you're going to make, and then you see some of the growth that you are making. But just know that every single effort that you put in for our kids is an effort well spent. So even if their growth is marginal, it's still growth. And you having faith in your students and getting back up to rejuvenation is so important because we know that we set different expectations for our kids, but our expectations are still high. Our expectations are just driven by their ability and where they currently are. So if you have a student in the 11th grade who is reading on a third grade level, you need to have that expectation that you are going to make that year or half year or quarter year of growth. And that's a data driven thought process, right? If they're making about a quarter year of growth every year, that's okay. That is what you need to focus on. We need at least a quarter. If we get more, it's great. So just know that it can be very defeating to see that data and see that growth. But after December, we're rejuvenated, right? We have all these ideas. We looked at it. We said, I'm going to do better. I have these different tools. I collaborated with my district mentor and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to change some of these things and see the growth that I want because I don't want to just have expectations for my students. I have expectations for myself. So rejuvenation happens, reflection happens, and then by the end of the year, it's anticipation again. You are excited. You have learned so much and you are going to learn so much this year as a beginning teacher. And if you are in your second and third year, you are going to be really harnessing and polishing and crafting those skills. So get ready for this year. We all go through it. You are not alone. Talk to your peers. Teaching is an interesting field where we can collaborate in a very unique way. So really take advantage of that opportunity to collaborate as much as you can with as many people as you can. All right, let's get into it. We are understanding autism. This is a brief overview of the things that you need to know to get started if you don't already know them about understanding an individual with autism. Autism or autism spectrum disorder refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and nonverbal communication. So these are the parameters of autism. Not all students with autism have severity in all areas. It is a spectrum. So often you might find a student who has extremely restrictive and repetitive behaviors and challenges with social skills, then maybe their communication is a little bit more advanced. But what we want to find is based on the tiers of autism, they do have challenges in all of these areas in some way or another that are deficit when compared to their same age peers. So this is a little example of the spectrum. In speech, it can range from non-speaking to typical speech, intelligence, low to high, sensory needs, hyposensitive to hypersensitive, social skills, poor to pass for typical, and special skills from non to savant. Your kid can be in a million different places in all of these spectrum categories, but just know that you are going to find uniquities with all of your kids. What you think is autism might not be what you truly find is autism by the end of this year when you have the pleasure of meeting all of your different students who are in different places on the spectrum. Social interactions, starting and talking starting and taking turns in conversation, sharing interests or emotions, understanding what others are thinking or feeling. These are all examples of social interactions that may be impaired for our students with autism. Develop maintaining and understanding relationships, expressing feelings and seeking emotional comfort from others, making friends and playing with peers, understanding boundaries and personal space, feeling overwhelmed in social situations. These are all examples of this category. And like I said, students can be in different places on the spectrum. You may be able to make friends, but you might have a hard time expressing that emotional comfort and expressing feelings. So this is truly a spectrum. We look at our kids with each of these individual characteristics. Communication. A typical one that we always hear is making eye contact. While this is something that some students with autism struggle with, and I say struggle loosely, they may have atypical behaviors with eye contact. It is not something that all students with autism or people with autism have. That is a true misconception. And I'll say this as well. This is a great time to point out that making eye contact is not essential to being a human being. So, something that we need to focus on is how our students characterized by their characteristics of autism on the spectrum, how they are impacted in their educational environment. If making eye contact is not impacting them in their educational environment and they are still able to participate and they are thriving in your space, do not harp on your student for not making eye contact. Absolutely do not harp on your student and stress on your student with stemming. These are things that are characteristics of autism. And I will say most of the characteristics of autism do not need to be, and you're not seeing my quotations, but fixed. These are characteristics that we use to identify, and then we use tools and strategies to meet their needs. If you have a sensory need, we're going to help meet that sensory need and come up with tools to meet that sensory need. We're not trying to get rid of your sensitivity to light and sound. We are trying to help you find tools to engage in the world in your educational environment with that sensitivity. So that's just my TED talk. Make sure that you are not necessarily trying to change or fix these characteristics. Understanding people's body language, gestures, and facial expressions, regulating tone of voice. These are all things that can be atypical when we look at our individuals with autism. Repetitive movements, play, or speech patterns. Stimming is something I mentioned before. So that's making repetitive body movements to regulate emotions. So like rocking, hand flapping, spinning, running back and forth. These are examples of stimming, and this is not a behavior. Stimming is not a behavior that needs to be modified. Stimming is a response to regulating emotions. If a student is very excited, you might see them hand flapping or spinning or rocking. It's okay to be excited, and it's okay to express your excitement. Us as typical communicators might say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited." Or we might jump up and down, or we might clap our hands, right? That's no different than stimming. It's an expression of emotion. So do not try to stop your students from stimming. Try to figure out what's causing the stem. And if something is making them sad and they're stemming, or upset, or angry, or frustrated, we can try to work as educators to remove that stimuli, so that they are not feeling that dysregulation in a negative way. But it's for happiness or excitement. We may suggest, like, hey, we are in the cafeteria. It's not safe to run back and forth right now. What's something else that we can do to express our feelings? That's fair. If it's impacting their safety, or their security in an environment, yeah. But hand flapping and rocking, use your judgment and use your kindness and use your heart. When you are approaching all of your students, but particularly your students who are on the spectrum and are experiencing stimming. Lining up toys in a row, spinning wheels, repetitively flipping switches, imitating others' person's speech, or repeating words and phrases, that's known as echolalia. These are some things that you might see in those speech patterns and repetitive movements. Instances on sameness and need for routine. I'm sure you hear this all the time. Our students with autism love routine. There can be extreme distress at even the smallest change to plans or routines. So it's very important to make sure that we are preparing our students for changes in their routine, especially when they have this restrictive behavior toward instances of sameness and routine. You can see them engaging often in ritualistic behaviors like watching the same video over and over again, touching objects in a set in a certain order, touching colors. I've had students who walk into the room and touch everything that is red, and we say, okay, time to sit down. There's ways to address that, right? We can put a lineup of red shapes as they enter the room and say, okay, we're going to touch our red shapes, and then we're going to sit down and we're going to work. There are a million things you can do. Collaborate with your team, collaborate with your new teacher support person from the district. That need for routine, same daily schedule, meal choices, clothes, route to school, that is something that you may see with your students with autism. Intense and highly focused interests. All right, I had to take a little pin on this because I have ADHD and OCD, which as soon as you really get to know me, that will be no surprise. But intense and high focus is something that is a characteristic of autism, but it's a characteristic of a lot of things. A lot of different people think different ways, and hyper focus, I feel, is a superpower. The things that we hyper focus on are different, right? So they may have an extreme interest or a knowledge of a specific subject or specific narrowed topic, strong attachments to a certain object, toy, or figurine. This is very human. This is a very human characteristic. So be empathetic to it. If a student is so attached to a lovey like an Elmo and they are in high school, but this is their lovey and it gives them comfort and support, try to draw connections to something that gives you comfort and support, and how if you were in constant turmoil and hyper just sensitivity to sensory things around you, how it might be nice to just be able to carry that thing in your pocket. So be empathetic. You may see that students with autism have under or oversensitivity to sensory stimuli. So, sensory differences like unusual sensitivity to light, sound, touch, or texture, lack of sensitivity to pain or temperature, sensory seeking behaviors such as smelling or touching objects, or a visual fixation on lights or movement. You may see a student who's doing hand flapping, which is a STEM, but they may do it in front of their face or while they're holding things in their hand. And this would be a combination of that sensory seeking behavior, but also the stimming. Our students in extensions have a need for functional communication. If they do not need functional communication, then chances are we need to start working on giving them as much time out as possible, pushing them out of extensions, because functional communication is a hallmark of not only autism, but also severe cognitive disabilities, which is who we serve. We do not serve students just because they have autism and behaviors. That is not what extensions is. We remove students from the standard course of study and put them on the extended content course of study to meet their needs in the educational environment. So our students in extensions often need functional communication, whether they have autism or not. Students to teach students how to get their basic needs and wants met using socially appropriate communication. So creating a board that has I want books, help, eating, sleep, food, water, all done, breaks, yes, no. Those are all things that you can put on a functional communication board. Keep it as simple or complex as the student's need reflects. Here are some assistive technologies for communication. I just want to touch on this really quick. So, a no tech communication might be sign language or picture communication. A low tech option might be a voice output device or text to speech, and a high tech option might be a communication board or an eye gaze communication. These are all different types of assistive technology. I encourage you to always be thriving for the next level of tech with your students. However, also be content if you find a functional form of communication that is working for that student, staying in that place. It really depends on how long we've been trying to push additional communications, but this is something you need to collaborate with your speech therapist on. The last slide on functional communication, and this slide as well, communicate with your speech pathologist and your occupational therapist to get more support in these areas. Also, your mentors and your extensions ECCTs have a lot of experience with a lot of different students who need these devices and the range of tech, and that is something that we can absolutely support you with as well. Here's some helpful hints. You want to recognize and avoid sensory overload. That can be the lights in your classroom, maybe turning them to half lights. That could be no lights in your classroom and using lamps. That can be avoiding loud spaces or offering noise canceling headphones. There are a lot of ways that you can avoid sensory overload, and collaborating with your occupational therapist is a great way to troubleshoot those things. Offer natural rewards, maintain a structured learning environment, something that is consistent and satisfies their need for routines. Use visual supports. Use visual supports. Imagine if someone was speaking to you in a language that you did not understand, and then they were frustrated with you when you became frustrated because you didn't know what they were saying and you didn't know what they were asking. Visual supports help bridge a barrier in communication. So use those visual supports to support your student. We are not always teaching them how to understand English, right? That is not primary. Sometimes primary is, yes, we're working on how to understand verbal communication from another person, maybe express verbal communication if you can do that. But right now, we need to learn how to go to the bathroom and wash our hands. So rely on the visual supports or an evidence-based practice. You need to use them with your students and collaborate with your speech pathologist with that. Encourage social interactions with others and be patient. Please be patient. Be patient. Be kind. Be empathetic. All right, so let's talk about our classrooms. Getting started. So first you want to take an inventory of your furniture that you have available and think about things that will be in your schedule in relationship to the grades you work with. So academic things, related services, independent work, break time, and calm down space. These are things that you want to consider when you're building the structure of your classroom. Looking at the furniture and the spaces you have. So what stations do you need? Do you need a lot of great classrooms have individualized workstations? It is an evidence-based practice, especially for students with autism. So creating those workstations, and we're going to show you some pictures of those in a second, thinking about your schedule and what you want instruction to look like each time that you teach. All right, so structure. You will be working in whole group, small group, and independent work. This is something that is essential. It is something that is expected, especially in a self-contained classroom. You're going to be doing some whole group lessons, and during those whole group lessons, you want to decide what will staff be doing? What will your support staff in the room be doing? What will your nurses be doing? What will your students be doing in all of these different settings? Have those expectations, set them, and make sure that they are consistent so that your students and your staff in the classroom can learn your expectations and meet them. They're not going to meet them day one. They're probably not going to meet them day 15, but eventually those expectations will be met and you will create a system and routine for our students that is going to help them thrive. Until you have systems and routines and structure, it is really hard to palette content. All right, so whole group, where your class convenes throughout the day. This is like your home base, right? Where you're going to do your morning meeting, your whole group lessons, your read alouds, right inside of that U-shaped space. That's a great practice. Your therapy activities. So when the speech pathologist comes in and she's doing a whole group activity, this is a great place to be. And it also gives you extra small group space if you need it. So if you are finding that your classroom is a little small or you don't have the furniture to set up separate stations, it is totally okay to say over there on the right, that's going to be reading with Miss Bo. And on the left, it's going to be math with Miss Paula, and the students can switch their locations, or you can switch the teachers and you can bring your goods with you. You're sitting right inside of that U. There's definitely ways to do it. You have to do what works for you. You have to work with what you have, and you can always reach out to your ECCTs or your mentors because we love to design a space. We've seen things that work, we've seen things that don't work so well, and we understand the different needs of students. Chances are we probably know a lot of your students. Chances are very high that we know all of your students. So we can have some input on that as well. A small group. Make sure you have enough space for staff to use at the same time. So you want to make sure that if you're doing whole group, there's 3 whole groups going on or small groups going on, like that sort of thing. This is great for academic rotations, for IEP work, and therapy pullouts. So if the speech therapist comes in, it's really great to have a separate place if you want to keep doing your whole group and she's going to pull out for a session like a small group with a student. This is something that happens often within the setting. Independent workstations, this is an evidence-based practice. Please do it. If you don't have enough bookshelves in your classroom, ask around, ask your administration, tell them how important it is that you need these workstations. Show them this picture and say that this is the expectation. You're going to need individual workstations. They are going to have to look at least somewhat like this. It's an evidence-based practice that students do best when they are in a space with a lack of sensory overload. So it really helps them focus on what they're doing. It's magical. When you see it for the first time, I'm telling you, it is magical and do it earlier so you can get those processes in place. It's great for workstations, technology time, quiet sensory time. And a great way to facilitate this is having a paraprofessional monitor the individual group stations. You can do it as well if it's a whole class doing individual workstations, but what this often looks like is half the students might go to an individual workstation. You might be polling for small group reading or something like that. Use the staff in your classroom to help teach this concept and this routine for a couple months. And you're going to see that students, when you say, okay, go find your workstation or go to your alone time or something like that, go to your quiet space, go to your calm down space, whatever it is, whatever you use, go to iPad time. That's fine if you're just using it for iPads. And you're going to see that they're going to pick up on those routines. You see, even down there, they're using like what they have. They have filing cabinets. It's a great thing to use. You're just creating an individual workspace. All right, a cool down, a break space. We're not calling them sensory corners anymore, so ignore that. Sensory is a clinical term that we're not using. So make sure that you call it a calm down space. You see timeout here, that's not like a timeout, like that's not a punishment. It's a timeout. It's a time away from the thing that is causing the sensory overload. So when possible and where possible, please create a space for your students to take a break. Calm down, time away, break, reading corner. It's great for sensory supports in the sense that like you might have some fun sensory toys over there, like some crunchy things or some squishy things, or things that can really satisfy those sensory needs. Maybe you have a stand table over there. Make it a positive space. Make it a place to relax and have it serve your students' needs. Here are some examples, some pictures of spaces. Over in the top left, we have a great whole group area. It's fabulous for whole group. The next picture shows a more advanced setting. So this would be older students, maybe your upper elementary to middle school and high school, and they all have their individual workstations. In the top right corner, you can see that those are individual stations as well, but it looks like they're a little bit closer. You can see on the floor too that they have tape. This is a great way to teach students boundaries and make sure that they understand that, like, when I ask you to sit in a space or stand in a space, this is your square. If you need to stand up and do 10 jumping jacks and then sit back down, that's fine, but stay in your square and learn boundaries and personal space. We have to teach that explicitly. So bottom left is a small group example. You can see the small group stations. You can also see that a student right there has an individual workstation right by the teacher's desk. That would be an example of preferential seating. Bottom right is a very traditional looking setting. You might see that in high school. A lot of our students can sit in a traditional setting like that. So if we're doing everything we can on the front end, hopefully our students get to experience as much normalcy as possible. And we want to make sure that they are as closely aligned to their typically developing peers as we can. So that means that we're not using like little work desks when they're in high school. If we can avoid that, we want to make sure that they are in desks and they are feeling like the high schoolers and transition students that they are, if possible. Boundaries, we talked about that tape. So ways that you can create boundaries, you can have physical and visual boundaries, like we were talking about with the workstations. Room dividers are great, but they're expensive. So you got to find other ways to do it, right? I've seen people use shower curtains before. That is fabulous. Like I've seen them use those little bungee type things that go in windows and put them on a bookshelf and use a little curtain. Like there are lots of things you can do. You got to get creative though. We have to be creative with our kids. Things don't exist for our kids, so sometimes we have to make them. Alternative ways to create boundaries, colorful tape, and systematic or strategic furniture placement with furniture that you already have. Think about the student's needs. Who's a runner? Who elopes from academics? Do you have wheelchairs? Do you have physical needs? Think about all those things when you are constructing your classroom. Those are some examples of physical boundaries. We've reviewed a lot of those already, but just isolating spaces, making little spaces. Over there, we do reading. Over there, we do math. Over there, you do independent. Over there, you do calm down. It is, and that chair in the bottom right, that is a great way to teach boundaries. A lot of students in lower elementary, you'll see them sitting in one of those. And it doesn't trap them. They're not trapped, but they're learning like, okay, this is the chair. This is the space. I don't need to be on all or two of my legs on my chair. That's dangerous. And I don't need to be rocking and falling out of the chair. That's dangerous, but I can rock in this space and I can bounce up and down in this space. So you're going to see a lot of things like that. There are some examples of the tape boundaries on the desk, but as well as the floor. Now let's talk about schedules. All right, so you're going to want to make sure that you have the schedule posted. That's your whole group, and that is going to be something you teach and review with your students often. I like to review that in morning meeting every single day. You're also going to need some individual student schedules. This is really important, and this kind of ranges from left to right on the ability of the student, right? So at the very, very least, if we're teaching schedules, teaching what happens now, what happens then, a first then is essential. So if you have a student who can only really palette what's happening right now and what's happening next, first then is a great tool for them. So if we're doing math right now and then we are going into reading or going to the lunchroom, this is a great way to let them know what's happening next, which can decrease behaviors. But then also, when you're done with reading, it gives them a chance to remove that reading and feel the completion and the success from completing it, right? I'll say this too. A lot of times you'll see this used with behavior, which is totally fine. I do not use first then typically with behavior. I use it with scheduling, which can decrease behavior. But you'll see people use it as a reward system, which can be very effective too, be very effective as well. So a reward system with a first then would be first we're going to do math and then you're going to, let's say, do iPad time. An effective way to do this would be to give them options of the reward, what the then is going to be. So like pick from calm down corner, iPad time, or Play-Doh. Those might be your three options, right? They can be whatever the student prefers. I try not to use candy and food and stuff like that, but whatever the student prefers. And let's say they pick iPad time. All right, first we're going to do math, and then we're going to do 5 minutes of iPad time, 10 minutes of iPad time. Remember, this is an intervention if you're using it for behavior, though. Scheduling, it's not an intervention. They need schedules. You might build up to more advanced schedules, like we're going to talk about in a second, but scheduling is something that they have the right to. You have a schedule, I have a schedule. Everyone has the right to know what's happening next. But when you're using it as a behavior modification tool, make sure if you start with 10 minutes of iPad time, you're moving down on the iPad time, right? Like first you're going to do math and then you're going to do 5 minutes of iPad time. All right, first you're going to do math and then we are going to earn a star toward our iPad time at the end of the day. We want to make sure that we're taking away that scaffolding of the behavior modification tool and we're actually using it to modify the behavior. And that way, when you're done modifying their lack of desire to do math, you can start working on other things, right? Like first we are going to go home on the bus and then when you get home, your mom is going to make you a snack. Like it can be globalized to their life, right? But first we have to teach it as a process. So you can just see as we go to the right, the schedule next to the first then is a more advanced version of the first then that might have like arrival and then we do morning meeting or then we do breakfast. After breakfast, we do, oh, I see what it's doing here. This is a star system. So first you arrive and then you get a star for arriving once you arrive. Then you do breakfast, you get a star for breakfast. Then you do recess, you get a star for recess. So it's giving them what's coming next on the schedule on the left, and then they're getting completion on the right. The schedule that's next has visual pictures and it just tells them what each thing is with a word. The next one is a written schedule. This one is more advanced. And then if you see the one on the right, that's a written schedule, but it also has like a simplified little handwritten math is 1, 2, 3, reading as ABCs, just kind of little memory clues, right? So these are all examples of schedules that you can absolutely use. There are hundreds of ideas out there, so many different ideas for schedules and how to create them for your students and make sure that they understand what's coming next. But those are some examples of schedules you can use. Visual schedules help students to understand expectations. They allow for students to anticipate the events of the day, and they empower students to build independence by interacting with the schedule. Every minute has a purpose. There should be nothing on your schedule that says downtime or free time. Use the words like calm down time or choice time and make sure it's structured. If you're saying free choice time, it's free choice of what I want you to do, right? So if it's free choice time, it's kitchen, blocks, or something else, right? Or puzzles. You're going to pick what you're going to do. You're not just going to be walking aimlessly around. One, because that's not good for you. That is not good for the brains that we're working with, where we have to teach them systematically these things. You might not know how to do kitchen yet. You might not know how to do puzzle. So like I might have to teach you how to do kitchen and puzzle and how to do blocks. That's fine, right? But I want to give you the choice in what you're going to do in free choice time because you might not understand everything that you have to choose from or everything that's offered. Object permanence, if you're not looking at puzzle or blocks, then you might not remember that puzzle and blocks are an option. If you are looking at puzzle, it might be the only thing that you remember is an option because of the object permanence. So you might pick the puzzle even though you don't want to do it. So give them choices, choice time. That's a great thing for quote downtime replacement. Calm down time can be at their desk. It can be with sand or sensory pieces or something, but that it needs to have a purpose. Every minute has a purpose. Allow students to prepare for a change in routine. So you use that visual schedule. It might be the same every day. We might do arrival, breakfast, morning meeting, recess, and then blah, 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 math, whatever. I'm just laying things on a schedule, right? But today we don't have PE. Today we have an assembly. Woo! Get ready. If you have a visual schedule, it's going to make it easier, but I'm not going to tell you that it's not going to cause problems because when somebody knows that every Tuesday we go to gym, we go to the gym with Miss Rose, we go to the gym with Miss Rose, they're going to be saying that. But something that you can do to avoid that is during your morning meeting, you say, I know we usually go to Miss Rose on Tuesday. That's what we typically do, right? What do we do on Tuesdays? Let them validate them. I know, don't try to trick them, validate them. I know that this is what we normally do, but today, instead of going to Miss Rose for PE, she's going to come to us. She's going to come here. We're going to do PE here, if that's what's happening. We are not going to see Miss Rose today because she is out sick. So no Miss Rose today, but we're still going to go to the gym. The things that you know, share them because you probably do not have a full grasp on how knowing knowledge can decrease your anxiety. And our students, especially our students with autism, are extremely sensitive to that. Changes in routine. We all are sensitive to changes in routine. And if you are walking to the gym to do, think about this because this happens too. If you're walking to the gym to do PE and you walk up to the door and there's an assembly happening and there's no PE happening and no one told you, think about how ticked off you are. You're like, are you serious? I just walked my kids down here. I didn't get to explain to them. That's going to happen, right? And get ready because that's a tough one to explain to kids. And you're ticked off. So imagine how they are feeling every time that they get a change in the routine that we have made without telling them it's going to happen. So visual schedules are essential. You need to have them in your classroom. All right, let's talk about curriculum. Here we go. We use Everway. It used to be called News to You, but it has been rebranded as Everway. So when you hear us say Everway, that is what we're talking about. Everway is a suite of tools. So it encompasses multiple suites of instructional support that act as a foundation for our extensions program. This is the evidence-based practice that we must be using in CMS as our baseline. But we'll talk a little bit about additional supports that you have or may have in your classroom and how you can use those as well. Throughout the year, you will have opportunities to enroll in professional development courses through My Talent that do a deep dive into everything that Everway has to offer. But today we're going to talk about these 4 main focuses that will get you started in Everway. And they're unique learning systems, Simple Sticks, News to You, and Inspire. Let's talk about unique learning systems. This is, I don't want to say it's the most important bubble, but it's the most important bubble. So when you see this little bubble, I call them bubbles because they look like little circles on the homepage. When you see this little bubble that says unique learning systems, you're going to be using that a lot. Here are the expectations for unique learning systems. It's a standards-based, differentiated instructional resource that has built-in data tracking tools. All extension students must participate in following the assessments through ULS, but also doing the instruction through ULS, which we talked about earlier, how we are curating the lessons for you to act as a guide map, but they are all based in unique learning systems content. What is expected is 2 or more ELA benchmarks at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. So at the beginning of the year, you are going to choose 2 ELA benchmarks and 2 math benchmarks at the minimum, and they are going to be aligned with your student goals. If your student has 4 IEP goals in math, it would be best practice for you to pick a benchmark for each of those IEP goals. Typically, you're going to find that our students have 1 or 2 math goals, 1 or 2 ELA goals. That is general practice, but they can absolutely come to us with more. You want a benchmark for each IEP goal, and here's why. We do not do iReady. So keep in mind when you're doing this and it seems like a lot of work, we do not do iReady. If we were doing iReady like the rest of the county, which we could be doing, we're not doing it. But if we were doing it like the rest of the county, you would be sitting down and giving full length assessments to each of your students one-to-one at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. And you would also be doing maintenance. So when a student does not pass the iReady, they have to do another iReady 2 weeks later. So think of this as a replacement for that I feel is a lot more individualized for our students and appropriate and based on our standards. So that's going to be reflective of your IEPs. And like I said, 2 or more in ELA, 2 or more in math, and that is going to be at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. We are going to provide you with training specific to how to do your benchmarks and your checkpoints. So don't freak out. I'm just telling you the expectations right now. You're also going to want to do 2 monthly checkpoints per student. This is your pre-test and your post-test for the lesson. Think about it this way. You have essentially 10 months in the school year, right? For 10 months, you are going to give a pre-test and a post-test every month. That is essential data. That is data that you are going to seriously use to inform instruction. So get ready for that. It's an amazing data tool, especially if you use it with fidelity. If you are teaching the ULS lessons that we are providing, you are going to see if they are effective or if they're not, or if you need to make changes for some students and not changes for other, increase rigor. So this is a really great opportunity to use that data to inform our decisions and instruction. So, Everway, you're going to use that modified performance tool for gathering that baseline data and tracking progress, 2 or more ELA, 2 or more benchmarks, beginning, middle, and end of the year. And the benchmarks should be selected with student IEP goals in mind. Checkpoints we just explained, one at the beginning of the month, one at the end of the month, and you're going to be provided with a calendar that runs you through every single month that says like, hey, it's the first 4 days of the month, make sure you do the checkpoint that is the pre-test. Oh, it's the last 4 days of the month, make sure that you are doing your post-test for the checkpoint. And then it shows you the benchmark windows as well. So rely on that calendar. You're also going to get emails and group me reminders like, hey, it's benchmark week, it's starting now, you have 2 weeks to give all your benchmarks. We are going to support you with those dates to help keep you on track and help keep our students on track. All right, so we talked about this in the beginning. I'm just going to click on it so we can talk about it again, just touch on it. This is the Extensions Program Assessment Calendar. We're going to look at it. Don't get overwhelmed. That's what I was just telling you about. So it explains like the expectations. It gives our emails too, so you remember who your people are. And then it tells you, gives you a little guide. Like this box is going to be checkpoint first 4 days of the month. There's the windows for the benchmarks. And then there is the post test for the month. And when you go down to the month, starting in September, you're going to see what they are. 2nd through 5th, that's the pre-test window. 8th through 19th, that's going to be your benchmark window. 25th through the 30th, that's going to be your checkpoint window. September is heavy. September is going to be heavy because that is your baseline data month. Think of September as setting expectations and getting your baseline data. It is such an important month in the world of EC, right? You're going to see that it gets a little less intense as you go to the other months. So October, you're just doing pre-test and post-test, no benchmarks that month. November, pre-test, post-test, no benchmarks that month. Same thing with December. So you go 3 months without giving benchmarks and you're just focusing on those pre-test, post-tests. In January, you're going to give another benchmark. That's going to be your middle of year. And then your end of year is going to be a little different. So April and May are going to be combined because these are heavy testing and also it is our spring break. So we keep that in mind when we're setting that expectation. You're going to do your pre-test for the April/May lesson. It's going to be one lesson. And then you're going to do your benchmark from the 1st to the 15th. We gave you a little extra day there. And then your post test is going to be 11th through the 15th. And then you're going to be done because we do not do one for June because it's short. And those last 2 weeks of May are testing. So when you look at it like that, it's not very intimidating at all, is it? So that's going to be your calendar. All extensions program teachers will be given those monthly slide decks that support them through the navigation of the monthly lesson for unique learning systems. Linked here is that thing that we looked at earlier. Let me just remind you that is going to give you those monthly lessons and the links to the slides presentations. And you're going to be able to navigate those lessons and instructional resources through those lessons every month. All right, now we're going to talk about Symbol Sticks. So Symbol Sticks is a vast library of visual vocabulary as well as an extensive collection of customizable tools. Let's just click on it really quick. Log in. Boop. Make sure you save your password. It's going to save you a lot of pain and suffering. Okay, so symbols. They got everything you can think of. And when I tell you they have everything you can think of, go to search all, anything. Justin B. Look how many Justins there are: Justin Tucker, Justin Jones, Justin Red, Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake. Anything you can imagine is on here. I promise you. There are very few things you can type into that search box that are not there. Teletubbies. I don't know how to spell Teletubbies. Let's see. I feel like I'm spelling Teletubbies wrong. This is a funny thing to do during a Teletubbies. Okay. Teletubbies right there. Anything. And if you find that there is something that does not exist in here, you have found the thing that's not in the vocabulary library, you get a help, and then you chat with support and you tell them what you need. I need a picture. I need a picture of Miss Bow. This is what she looks like. Can you make a picture of Miss Bow for me? They're going to make you a symbol, and it's going to be like within 72 hours. Prepare to have your mind blown. They will make you a symbol, and the next time that you go and search for it, it's going to be there. So it is a great program. The other cool thing about Symbol Sticks is it has a board wizard component where you can make just about anything you can imagine using the symbols. So if I'm just going to give you an example, fun and games. Ooh, I love this. The about me is great, but let's do bingo as an example. Oh, the certificate. I absolutely love Symbol Sticks. I will die on the Symbol Sticks hill. I'm telling you, I absolutely love it. Let's play. Say you're playing a bingo game and you're doing a bingo game on nutrition and you want a bingo game on foods. All of your symbols are going to be to the right, and you can say food, and you just go for it. You just pears. You might have to say individuals, but I think you can actually go. Okay, so you might have to find individual things. So apple, pear. Let's see, candy. Maybe I do that. I do a chocolate bar. I do some lifesavers. Okay, so you get the point. It is an endless, vast library of things that you can use to fill up those tools. Here's another cool thing. You can customize it with images. So if I want to do an actual image, like a person, I just go to upload my image. And you see, I've uploaded other things that they didn't have. Like we had a fall festival at our school. So I went ahead and put that fall festival in there. What are we doing this week? We're going to fall festival. And you can actually customize what it says. Fall festival. Isn't that great? I hope that you're like, yes, like that is fantastic because I love symbol sticks. So that's just an example on how to use it. You can get a more in-depth training and you can find that on your tab for additional professional development in your new teacher support series dashboard. Spire. So Inspire is a collection of adapted classic novels. You're going to use this more in middle school and high school, upper middle school and high school, and they correspond with activities to support students with access to reading opportunities that align with those provided to their same age peers who are following the standard course of study. Let's just peek at it really quick. So here you have all of these options for reading. You have Call the Wild, you have Hamlet, you have Romeo and Juliet. These are some classics, right? And they're going to be classics. You shouldn't run out. You can switch it out every year. You could do two a year, like that sort of thing when you're in high school. And if you want to access the actual lesson itself, you click on lesson content. And then you can either expand it to get those activities individually. So, like read and discuss, you go to student materials, and it's going to give you that chunk, right? There's a scarlet letter. You're reading, you're reading, you're reading. What you're also going to see on here is different levels of adaptation. So that is just a simplified text, right? It's still simplified. It isn't the full text. But if you want to have a more adapted text, you can actually come down here and go to this different level of adaptation. So this one's going to have symbols, right? And that is going to be, you'll probably use that a lot for our students, but you could use the simplified text that doesn't have the symbols for our students as well. It just depends on their need. So that's an example of what the story looks like. But if you wanted to do like the building vocabulary activity, you just go to student materials, and then it's going to give you the activity right there. And you can do that interactive or you can print it as well. So that is how you use Spire. Click as. All right. So those are your instructional components, your resources for Everway. And like I said, you will see in your dashboard all of the different trainings for those individual things, which are going to be longer and go into more depth as you start using them and really taking advantage of them. All right, so our baseline is going to be ULS. That is the required curriculum that we are using in extensions, but you also have attainment. So, Attainment Company provides evidence based curriculum that aligns with the extended content course of study. It is rich and specially designed instruction that should be used to supplement the required baseline extensions curriculum. You want to contact your EPECCT for additional support with attainment materials and additional training if you need it. Also, use the resources in your school building because if you have a veteran teacher, they are probably familiar with attainment. It was a curriculum that we used probably about 7 years ago. That for a long time. 7 years ago was when we got ULS, but up until 7 years ago, attainment was the main curriculum. So you'll find kits in your classroom. Please do not throw them away. If you don't want them and you want a clean house, that is fine. Let your EPECCT know. We will come and get them. They are very expensive and we do not have a lot of them and we do not purchase them still because they're not our core curriculum. So we are happy to train you on it as an additional tool. It's great for small group. I absolutely love attainment. So if you have a kit in your room and you want to know more about it and how you can use it to supplement your instruction, please let your EPECCT know or your mentor, and we will be able to support you in using that curriculum because it's truly wonderful. But what you may have access to in your classroom might be ELSB, ESRB, building with stories, early numeracy, early science, pathways, touch math. Those are some things that you might find in your room that you don't necessarily know how to use and may want to use as supplements. They are all evidence-based practices for our students with severe to profound cognitive needs. You might see in the secondary curriculum teaching to the standards English language arts, teaching to the standards math, teaching to the standards science, exploring American history, or touch math for the upper grades. Transition curriculums is very important. So if you teach transition, you are going to want to access that transition curriculum by clicking on this link here. The link is also in your dashboard. We are currently in year 1. However, transition individuals may also follow that same curriculum guide that we went over a couple slides ago and at the beginning. There is a transition section in that curriculum guide. Let me just show you really quick. Boop. When you go to monthly lessons, it's not just up to high school, it goes to transition as well. So you can see Unit 1, we have the folder on transportation, we have the folder on community living, safety and community, self-advocacy, safety and self-advocacy. So all those things are linked in there and you just have to click them just like everybody else. And that is an easy way for you to access those resources that are already created for you in transition curriculum. You're also going to see that this is a combination of the transition curriculum that has been created in CMS and the curriculum that is offered in unique learning systems. So you will be able to access that too. You will be able to do benchmarks and you will be able to do checkpoints as well for those lessons. All right, on to social emotional learning. I'm going to show you right here. So, character education in Charlotte Mecklenburg schools is a partnership with parents and the community to foster honesty, responsibility, and caring students. It is an intentional and proactive effort to help students understand caring about and acting upon basic values that we all share. So, SEL, social emotional learning, is very important. Please incorporate it into your instruction. It's a great thing to do during morning meeting and we have it all created for you. You do not need to use all of it. I would use some of it though, because it's really great resources. And I particularly love the adapted zones of regulation, not just because I made it. So, the adapted zones of regulation, you're going to see every single month, we're going to have something for you to choose from that's different for zones of regulation. And it does repeat in January. So, we do introduction to the zones, red zone, blue zone, green zone, yellow zone, and then I'm sorry, it repeats in February. So you do another introduction to the zones and then you revisit them. So if you're doing zones of regulation, that's what that looks like. You can also do character development. The character development goes through different characteristics like responsibility, honesty, kindness, like citizenship, like those sorts of things. And we have a lesson for each of those, and those will repeat in January as well. So if you're talking about responsibility in August, you're going to talk about it again in February. And that is very much okay. Because by the time you get to February, oh, you can talk about responsibility again. Don't you worry. We also have the Caring Schools curriculum, which goes K1 to K through 6. And we have that isolated there. So you can access the Caring Schools curriculum if you'd like to use that as well. We have a lot of SEL resources, so definitely take advantage of them. All right, and we talked about that dashboard. That's what we've been looking at the entire time here. All right, reflection. So this is the Extensions Program Classroom Checklist. When you click on this, you are going to open a document. You're going to want to make a copy of this document. You can also print it. If you're a printing type of girly, go ahead and print it, or boy. Sorry, not just girls. But if you're a printing type of person, you can go ahead and print it, check it off, do your thing. I'm a digital type of person. I'm a digital girly. So I would actually do it. I would just make a copy and I would go ahead and do it on the drive. This is what I need you to do before our next meeting. So before we meet again in November, so like I said, we have our October 1st, and then we have our November 11th. Before we meet again in November, I need you to have this checklist created and I need you to have it submitted to your mentor. So to your new teacher support mentor. Do not stress out. I'm going to put this link into GroupMe. I'm going to remind you when we're getting to November. We are going to be doing a lot of this thinking for you that we know that it is hard to have the capacity for when you're in your first year, second year, third year. So do not stress out. I'm going to give you lots and lots of warnings, and I'm also not going to slap your hand if you forget to do it. That is not a slapping your hand moment. You're not going to get in trouble for any of this. I know that maybe that's not the best practice to be like, you're not going to get in trouble for it. It makes people not, we're adults, right? I need you to do it because I need it to know how I can support you. Because if I get down here and you have no checks on social communication strategies, I know that I need to support you in that. That is something that I need to say, ooh, Sandy really needs support, or Sally really needs support, or David really needs support in communication strategies. And I am going to put them on my list to make sure that I'm giving them everything, all the resources that I have in that. So fill this out for you. Turn it into me, but fill it out for you. Very, very important. Very important. You need to fill out the survey. So scan here, fill out the completion survey so that we know that you have done this video or done this training. If you are sitting in the training right now, take a picture, go ahead and do it. If you don't want to do it on your phone, you are welcome to do it on the dashboard. Whenever you go into the dashboard, you are always going to see the video and then the survey. So once you watch the video, go ahead and complete the survey. That lets us know that you have finished it. And then you just are going to attend one of these sessions and we are going to complete the month. I hope you get a lot out of this. I really do. I hope you got a lot out of this basic onboarding training, but I also hope that you get a plethora of knowledge that you will use and take with you for your years to come, because these are things, these are essentials that we need to be effective and safe and, just the good teachers that we all have inside of us, but maybe aren't completely baked yet. None of us are completely baked yet, but we're gonna do a lot of baking this school year. And we're really excited to support you. So that is the end of your professional development for the Extensions Program New Teacher Support Series. And we look forward to working with you this school year. Thank you.